Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 34 of Celestial Journey. Picking up where we left off last time, let's see, we were still making, or we're at least working on collecting the ingredients for the gems. Right, last time we settled on a decent way of making shimmer leaf, although still looking for improvements. But today let's change gears, we'll move on from shimmer leaf, and see what's next. So we've already covered everything else in the air gem except air reagent. This has to be made in a Hellfire Forge, and it does consume demonic will. So we need a way to automate demonic will. Since I don't actually know how to do that yet, I've started reading the Sanguine's. I don't even know how to pronounce it. The book about it, and I think I have a approximate idea of how to do it, but I'm the type of person that likes to go for low-hanging fruit first. So we're going to move on from the air gem and actually go tackle the next few gems, and then we'll come back for that. Earth gem is actually trivially easy. Runes, done. Vibrant crystals, everything in here comes from essences. Terra steel comes from essences. Nature essence is an essence. Torchwood comes from villager trading. And petroleum dust, everything here, is easy to make, right? These drops come from basalt, one of the thermal blaze variants, and redstone is easy. So it's just spirit string, which we are already making, I believe. Here, one of these is doing spirit string. Oh, so we should have 5,000. Neat. Would you look at that? 5,000 is probably enough, so I won't even bump up that threshold. So yeah, everything. Rune of Earth. There's our freebie. All right. Rune of Water, on the other hand, is a bit less of a freebie. So, runes, done. Essences, done. Cryothium dust, again, blizz drops and redstone, done. We've already made the silicon. We did pufferfish last time. That leaves ender crystals and frozen blocks. Ender crystals require shoving enderman souls and vibrant crystals into a soul binder. That's alright, we can do that. We just need a spawner, a powered spawner in capture mode to do enderman souls and vibrant crystals. Let's actually set that up before we move on to the frozen block. A powered spawner in capture mode. You definitely want it in capture mode, not spawn mode. We'll when given soul vials, just fill them up with the mob it's spawning, and we use those soul vials, combine them with vibrant crystals, which I'm just crafting, or not that one, this one, just over there, and they get turned into ender crystals. These soul vials then get sent back to the spawner, so the soul vials on a closed loop, the final product gets placed in a drawer. So that's our ender crystals, which I think were one of the components of the water gem, right? Each water gem uses 12 of these, so we'll need a fair bit. This process also uses some liquid EXP. For now, all I did was, take a experience rod and dump my own EXP into this tank. I'll probably need a bigger tank on second thought. Here, let's do this. I'll put a very large tank here, fill it with almost 1,000 levels of EXP, and that tank should, I have a fluid conduit on me, should keep us going for long enough. In fact, I think that tank will produce more than enough fluid, or will hold more than enough liquid EXP that I don't need to worry about automatically supplying it. What color is EXP? Green? I don't use green channel. It's brown now. For those of you who wonder why I don't use green channel, especially on fluid conduits, when you first place a fluid conduit, in fact, let's grab another. When you first place a fluid conduit, it defaults to insert on green, which is like, if you have anything else extracting on green, that means you automatically and immediately jam a fluid in there as soon as you place the conduit down, which is pretty annoying. So as a result, I never, ever, ever use green on fluid conduits. And then just to continue that trend, there's actually no reason not to use green on item conduits because they don't default to insert. But I don't know. I've just continued that trend and I never use green on item conduits as well. Another thing to keep in mind is this system actually uses quite a bit of power. Spawning endermen this way takes 16,000 RF a tick, and our soul binder, which is running at just sort of 100% uptime, uses another 2,000. So this is like 18,000 RF a tick when it's running. For now, for us, that's not a problem. But if you want to set this up in the early game, you can use a smaller capacitor to make it slower. Or you can, the way the next system we're going to make for frozen blocks, you can use that system in place of this Enderman spawner, and it'll be a lot cheaper. So frozen blocks here take enticing crystals. Everything else is fine. Snow we can autocraft from essences, and icy base we already use to make water inscription tools to make runes of water. So all that's taken care of. However, frozen blocks also take enticing crystals, which are made with a villager soul plus an emerald. Now you think, well, just set this exact system up again. However, I'm pretty sure you can't make a villager's powered spawner. Let me actually confirm that before we get too much further. So while you are allowed to make villager broken spawners by jamming a villager soul into a broken spawner, you can't combine it with a powered spawner. It's just blacklisted. So we're going to have to use another way of spawning villagers, and that means we can't directly spawn them into soul vials. For the spawning of villagers, we have plenty of options. We can have a system like this where we have, a mob duplicator. That's probably the easiest one. However, now that we have Draconic Evolution, I want to try their stabilized mob spawner. So these can be crafted with a broken spawner and a core of any type up to chaotic. However, they can also be made by right-clicking a core on a not broken spawner. So I have an awakened one here. When you first place it down, it has no mob in it. To set, that's not the right thing. To set the mob that you want, you need a soul of that mob. And I don't mean a soul vial. I mean a soul. So if you kill stuff with a weapon enchanted with Reaper, which my Staff of Power here has, it has a chance to drop a soul. Not a very high chance. And actually, I'm not sure if the AoE kills have a chance. They probably don't. So I'm mercilessly slaughtering way more villagers than I have to. However, sooner or later, I'm bound to get a soul. Eventually. Alright. 1,000 dead villagers and 1 villager soul later. You can then right-click the soul onto the mob spawner to set what mob the spawner spawns. And then depending on the tier of your spawner, it'll just plop out units. I was hoping to get more than this. I was hoping that it would be better. I mean, not that it matters, because I don't, this is already probably faster than I can actually capture the mobs. But yeah, it's just, this is a, it doesn't use any power or anything at all. It just works. So I guess that's the upside of this. It doesn't take any power. It doesn't take any essence. Yeah, and it just spawns whatever mob. It's not blacklisted for anything. The downside is you have to get a soul for a mob before you can spawn it. And as you can see, it's a non-trivial exercise. Usually, if I'm using these spawners a lot, I'll set up like a auto killer. Hey, look, got another one. I'll set up an auto killer that spawns a mob using another mod, another mod spawners, and then only at the end do I kill them with a mechanical user with a sword of the wyvern or a draconic sword, and I collect souls that way. But anyways, another downside is when you break this, you don't get your mob back, or you don't get your soul back. So when you break it and replace it, the soul's gone. So that's why I wanted to get another villager soul. Anyways, my plan is that I'll set up a system where I spawn in mobs using this mob spawner, and then I just push them into a corner and pick them up using a mechanical user with soul vials. So my plan then is to set up this, arena, I guess you'd call it, that pushes all of our villagers right up into our mechanical user. I forgot which mode this has to be on. Probably use item on block? No? Use item? I'm in trouble if none of these work. Come on, one of these has to work, right? With a little trial and error, I determined that it works on entity mode if you target the block that their head is in. So let me pull these out. Obviously it only works while there's room. So I'm just going to recycle these villagers real quick. And, well, we should see here that the slots that I emptied out are now full again. So yeah, the trick is entity mode and target the head. Oh, another neat thing that the stabilized mob spawner, I mean, I guess almost all mob spawners do this, is if there's too many mobs nearby, it automatically turns off. It also turns off if you give it a redstone signal, but the mob over spawn safety is, it's just good so that you don't accidentally lag out your base. Here's the system in its entirety. So we have our mob capture thingy running here. In fact, I might have to speed it up. Let's give it some speed upgrade. I expect this will just work as it'll just make it click faster and thus capture faster. I have it set to only use the top left slot, so I need to make sure, any soul vials that end up in a second slot will basically never get used. But yeah, this system only works if the mechanical user is faster than the soul binders. Anyways, so then you can have you can have any number of soul binders really doing the work here. The emeralds that are needed are provided by an interface. The EXP is provided by a fluid export bus. Just barely see tucked down there. And it's all distributed into, I have 3, maybe I'll need more, maybe I won't need as many. Final result goes into a drawer. They're stored on in a storage drawer, on a storage bus. Cool. So that covers the enticing crystals, and then all we have to do is assemble them into frozen blocks. So I'll probably do that on our main resource thingy here. Putting that all together, we now have frozen blocks. Our bottleneck here is still the icy base because, these are used in the production of runes. So until our alchemy table here catches up with demand, which it might be some time, our production might be a little slow, but because we set this system up now, we have some time before we actually need, to use water gems in significant quantities. And end of the day, we're still producing them much faster than these shimmer leaves. So, almost no matter how slowly I produce gems or like these frozen blocks and, basically anything in the gem, I'm pretty sure shimmer leaf will end up being our bottleneck. So with that, I think we now have everything for water gems, which is pretty cool. That means the last thing we have to do is come back and automate the air reagent. So everything else in here I don't think is that bad, right? Like, yeah, we can craft. Eris we already craft, and let's see, do we have any? Yeah, we have it backlogged. We can unpin some of these and pin this. All right, reinforced slates we should have tons of. Let's see. Oh, I did put the upgrade in it. All right, well, let's put an upgrade in. So we have 32 stacks now, but it'll get up to 1,000 stacks. So yeah, we have plenty of slates and leadstone jetpacks. I think, let's see what goes into making this. Lead, copper, sulfur, redstone, leather, electrical steel. Oh boy. This might take a couple crafters to make, but I see no reason that this is all just crafting tasks. Crafting tasks are easy. So how about I'll set up a crafter or maybe even a series of crafters to make leadstone jetpacks over here. In the end, it took 2 crafters. One is making reactant dynamos. The other one puts that together with everything else and turns them into leadstone jetpacks. They're stored in a drawer again because they don't stack. I put a gold upgrade in there, and this will hold 256 leadstone jetpacks. All right, so now I've put off the making of will for about as long as I can, I think. Everything, I can put it off a little while longer and make angel blocks too. But realistically, at this point, I have to start collecting will. So let me read the documentation, make sure I understand what I'm trying to do, and put this plan in motion. So if I'm understanding the documentation right, the plan is that we will grow these demon crystal clusters by, we'll first have to basically build one and then you can grow it. And afterwards you can like break bits off of it as it grows, kind of like a plant, to power your Tartanic gems. So to do so, there are 2 rituals we're interested in: Gathering of the Forsaken Souls and Crack of the Fractured Crystal. Take a look at those. Those are probably here. Let's see, I've already forgotten their names, but I'm sure they'll come to me when I see them. That's not it. crack of the fractured crystal. So it breaks off all but one and drops them on the ground. It can be picked up. Easy enough. Okay, so this is just this is like the harvester. If we're thinking of this in crop terms, this is like the harvester. And the next one is probably here. Let's see. Bunch of reading. This is the ritual that really does the work. So what it does is that it speeds up the growth rate for crystal clusters. And to do so, we have to first have the ritual. Then above the ritual, we need to have demon crystallizers. And atop the demon crystallizers, we need crystal clusters. And then we need we need to supply it with a feed of unique mobs. The more unique mobs die, the more efficient it will be. It does not generate though. So the question is, does it kill its own mobs? Cost per damage tick on mob. So I think it implies that it kills the mobs. All right, so let's start by setting up this Gathering of the Forsaken Souls ritual, which I suspect I just have to tab this over to. In Blood Magic, or at least in this version of Blood Magic, there are 5 types of demonic will. When you have a Demon Will Aura gauge, it adds that UI on the upper left of your screen that shows the types, and the one on top is like the normal will, and there's corrosive, destructive, vengeful, and steadfast wills. For the time being, I think we only need normal will, or raw will, I think is what it's called. So if we go to the chunks where we've been doing, Thumbcrafty stuff, we see that the aura here should be full. There we go. It's full of normal will. And in fact, in any chunk that we have one of these rituals going, it should be full. In every other chunk, it's probably empty, because I think that's the default state. Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to fill this chunk with enough normal will that these demon crystallizers that I've built will start growing crystals. I've already done that once. That's how I got the crystal to make the gauge. But to do so, all you do is place a Tartaric gem in a demon crucible. It'll slowly drain the gem, and we'll see that, that the aura fills up. And in fact, every time the aura fills up, let's get my gem out of there so I'm not continuing to burn it. One of our demon crystallizers will start growing a crystal. So now 7 of our demon crystallizers are growing. And if I put this in here one more time, we should get the 8th in just a second. Maybe it's too empty. It might not work. Yeah, I think there's a minimum amount that needs to be in the gem for it to work. So I have to go refill this gem. But these demon crystals we can now grow with the ritual that's running here by just offering mobs to it, I suspect. So let's let's bring a mob here just to test that. Hostile mob here in the soul vial, and I suspect by just releasing it, by lagging a bunch, by releasing it, yeah, it starts taking damage, and the damage it takes will cause these crystals to grow. I'm not sure. I suspect one mob isn't enough to meaningfully grow the crystals, and it might have to die before any growth happens. That pumpkin spider's tough, still not dead. Come on, pumpkin spider. Die already. For refilling my crystals, for now my plan is, because they took away, because the mod pack took away my laser gun, I can't use that anymore. However, I can instead use a shuriken. So I just have an unbreakable shuriken. It's probably not even a very good one, but I just stand here, hold down right click, kill some of these mobs, and as you can see, every kill gives a significant amount of will. So I just stand here for a minute or two. Probably takes a little bit more than 2 minutes, but I can fill up 2,000 will in my 2 crystals, just like that. The reason I don't use the sword is that the sword kind of sucks. Like, maybe if I enchant it to give it like sweeping edge and sharpness and all that stuff, it'll be decent, but without enchants, it kind of sucks. The next ritual, called the Crack of the Fractured Crystal, is meant to be placed directly above the first ritual. So you see we have 2 ritual stones here. If you stack them like that, they nicely, the stones don't interfere with each other. So I move my crystallizers around a little bit to accommodate that. Then all we have to do is activate it. And what that'll do, as you see, is any of these spires with more than 1 spike, it'll break off the subsequent spikes. and give them to you in item form. So, we can set up some type of item collector for it. There's a ritual that does it too, but I'll probably just use like a vacuum chest. Now that we have these demon will crystals though, let me figure out what we do with them. I think we can melt them in a demon crucible and somehow transfer them into a tartaric gem. To use these demon will crystals, my understanding is you need 2 demon crucibles. One will melt it and turn it into aura, or turn it into if you look in the upper left there, will in the chunk, aura in the chunk. I don't even know what they call it. Anyways, one chunk can hold 2 of them, and I don't know why it says the reagent info. Maybe a backup's ready right now or something. Anyways, a second one, if you give it a redstone signal, so put it on top of a block of redstone, the crucible will instead drain aura or drain will from the aura from the chunk and place it into the crystal. At least that was my understanding, but that doesn't appear to be the case. So the book says another mode is to use blah 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 to drain aura. Apply a strong redstone signal to the crucible, and then the contained gem will try to drain aura. So place a gem. Maybe it has to be applied to the top block. Not there. Not there. I mean, I can't apply a stronger redstone signal than a block of redstone. No. All right, I'm not quite sure what the book's on about with respect to this like charging the gem in the demon crucible thing. No matter what I do, I can't seem to get it to work. But I discovered that if you put the gem in a Hellfire Forge, it'll charge, draining the aura, with the demon crucible here providing the will for it. So if I keep this supplied with will, that will keep our tartaric gem supplied with will, and that will allow us to craft with this, namely craft air reagents as long as we jam, those things in there. So all we have left to do is give this thing a steady supply of mobs to help it grow, to help these demon catalyzers grow their thing. And if you recall, the ritual here says that it prefers a uniqueness of mobs. So I have a plan where I'll just give it a bunch of mob spawners and, give it like 8 types of mobs or something like that. Just out of curiosity, I wanted to see how it performs with a single mob type. So I just put a groove spawner down there. And it actually seems to be doing pretty fast. If you see those crystals popping off, each crystal is worth about 50 demonic will. Now, in practice, it's a little bit less than that because in order for the system to run, we also have to keep will stocked in the chunk. So there's a demon crucible here that is burning a little bit of will, but it's not burning it nearly as fast as we're creating it, I think. Well, maybe not. It actually is burning through it pretty quickly. So what I'm interested in is a net production of will, right? We see the gross production here is pretty high, but actually the net production is lower than I thought at a glance. It's also important to keep your the setup entirely in a chunk, at least your all your functional blocks. The mobs themselves don't have to be in the same chunk. But yeah, so actually I was thinking maybe a single mob type is enough, but on second, looking at it again, we started with like 22-ish demon will crystals in here. It generated about 5 in a minute. That's 250 per minute. And our crafting here, which gem was it for? Takes, well, it's only 20 per craft. Let me try adding a couple more mob types. Maybe I'll go up to like 4 mob types and see how it goes. Alright, so I'm spawning 4 types of mobs now. I kind of expected these to stop spawning mobs a little bit sooner. I only put 2 range upgrades in them so that like they'd have less room to spawn mobs, but they're causing a lot of crowding, and I suspect it's affecting. I mean, let's see. Yeah, it's taking up a significant amount of tick time, so I have to do something about that. But first of all, I want to see what impact this has on our will production. So let's say we have for now a stack and 10. I'm gonna come back in a minute and see how many we have. It's been about a minute, and we gained about like 30 in a minute. That's more than fast enough. So now I just have to, I think my plan will be to, I'll turn these spawners off, by detecting mob count, and if mob count gets too high, I'll just turn them all off. To count the mobs, I have a mob detector. It in the working area, it just detects the number of mobs and emits that as a redstone signal. So if there are 15 or more mobs, it emits a redstone signal of 15. Place that through a comparator, match with a block of redstone. Essentially, this only lets 15 through. And then if basically if there are 15 or mobs, then the redstone signal goes to each of the mob duplicators and turns them off. These are on active without redstone signal. So that should provide enough mobs to power the growth, but not cause lag because we have like 30,000 mobs standing here. Lastly, we might as well pick up the drops and do something with them, I guess. I'll probably do that underground. So here's the system in its entirety. The wheels are generated between these two ritual. Well, one of the rituals generates causes these demon crystallizers to generate these demon will crystals. The other one causes them to break off. They get sucked into this vacuum chest. From there, they, at a higher priority, get placed into the hopper that feeds into the demon crucible, because you must keep the the chunk that you're making the wills in has to stay stocked with demonic will aura. So that feeds into the crucible. At a lower priority, it feeds into a storage drawer here. And from there, I pipe from the drawer into another crucible, which releases the will into the aura in a nearby chunk. So just so it's clear, I'm doing all the work in this chunk and I'm crafting in this one. All right, so that causes the will to be released into this chunk. Then in our Hellfire Forge, the Tartaric gem that goes in the input slot here gets automatically charged as it crafts. Then all that's left is to supply the Hellfire Forge with the input reagents. That's done using a limited item filter, because I don't want to put 2 stacks of angel blocks in here or anything, right? We need 1 stack for each. And that just crafts away, making our air reagent, which we store in a drawer. So with that, the air reagent is automated, and I believe that concludes the process of making the gems. So that's all 4. Wait a second. Okay, so air gems can be made into blocks, but air gem blocks cannot be made back into gems. But all the other gems are. Whatever, I'm sure that's just an oversight that's probably irrelevant. Anyways, now we have the reagents to craft all the gems. To craft them, though, we still have to put all the stuff into the crafting table. I don't think we can automate that yet. So the pack author has, I think he may have already updated this recipe. I just haven't updated the pack yet. So the Dire Crafty Crate will have the updated recipe. But the Auto Extreme crafting table is inaccessible because we don't have singularities. Singularities need neutronium before we can make that. So right now we're still handcrafting these, which is a little obnoxious because lava crystals don't stack. But that said, we also don't need a lot yet. So let's see about making the creative jetpack at last. In here, with the gems out of the way, I think the only other thing we have to make then are the 2 jet plates. Let's see about auto crafting these. Most of it should be doable. There might just need to be a little bit of yeah, we're going to have to hook a few machines to the AE system, but this should all be auto craftable. Well, I expected this process to be easier than it was. The problem I ran into was that Applied Energistics sometimes has trouble crafting items that are very similar and yet differ by only MBT data. And namely, well, that doesn't even apply to these jetpacks. I don't know. For some reason, Applied Energistics got all kinds of choked up trying to recursively craft these jetpacks. So I had to move them all to an external interface that crafts them in a crafter, doing it as like a processing recipe. I tried both, like with with substitutions on and off. With it on, it got stuck one way. With it off, it got stuck a different way. So, long story short, I think these jetpacks, and I think I might already do it for capacitors too, right? Or maybe capacitors work now. Yeah, it's basically the same problem I had with these capacitors, that I had to craft them in an external crafter. Same problem with the jetpacks. I have to craft them in an external crafter, and I spent way too long to come to that conclusion. In any event, now we have the two of them. So I think that should be all the components for our creative jetpack. Got a little ahead of myself there. First, I have to actually craft the gems. Oh, wait. It doesn't consume the lava crystals? That would have been good to know before I made a system that produces lava crystals by the thousand, eh? I guess I can cancel this request for 1,000 lava crystals. Whoops. All right, then. I was just about to complain and say that, well, I gotta shift-click item. I mean, I still have to shift-click items in one set at a time. No, if I just grab a bunch of stuff, I can batch craft these. All right, I didn't expect that it wouldn't consume the lava crystals. Like, that didn't even cross my mind. All right, well, let me go craft, like, a stack of fire gems then. The more I think about it, the more I think that the lava crystals not being consumed is unintended behavior. So I'm not going to exploit it any more than this stack. I think the way it works in the scripts is that by default, items have like a default behavior specified by the mod, or like by the mod that registers them in crafting. And I think it's just that when the scripts were written for the fire gems, the author didn't know that lava crystals, you need to tell the scripts explicitly to consume them. In any event, if it turns out I'm wrong, I will happily, use that to my advantage. But for now, I mean, we have our stack of fire gems, and I think I only need 2, was it for the jetpack? 4. And air gems. Crafting these by hand is a real pain though, because I have to like click in every stack by hand, and I didn't quite have enough air reagent. Yeah, these are still, I just started crafting these, so I didn't quite have enough to make a full stack. Half stack it is. Anyways, let's make another crafting table then, and I have another crafting table. Would you look at that? And we should be able to craft the creative jetpack. I hope the fact that our jet plates are charged isn't a problem. Let's see, heavily compressed obsidian, and go. Ooh, we did it. Apparently you get an iron thruster back. This doesn't even have a use. What? Is it like a trophy item? Well, apparently for every creative jetpack you craft, you get a free iron thruster for your troubles. Anyways, yeah, we have it. I'm still not going to use it, because why would I use that over my draconic chest piece? But yeah, it exists. So the next tier actually doesn't look all that bad, but I think we're out of time for today. So we'll come back tomorrow, pick up from the creative jetpack, and keep working our way down the creatives. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.